How content creation has changed my life and made me millions of dollars, and exactly how it's not unreasonable for you guys to do the same thing. Now, first things first, I know a lot of you guys, and obviously me myself when I was younger, always really wanted to take social media full time. Now, I might not necessarily know in the exact direction I wanted to go in, whether that was, running YouTube channels, which funnily enough, I did want to be a YouTuber when I was younger, but who would have thought fast forward to today, I would have accomplished that dream, but obviously without my face. Aside from this channel here that you guys are watching now, I don't show my face on any of my content. So essentially everything is faceless. Now, I want to make a completely raw video, a video that I think will resonate with a lot of you guys, and that is essentially how content has essentially changed my life and why it's not unreasonable for you guys to do the same thing. I see so many people every single day saying, I want to retire my parents. I want to be financially free. And honestly, there is such a bad perception on the fact that I think a lot of gurus as a whole are honestly looked down upon, for kind of pushing this mindset, while school, university, college, that is so normalized, even though it realistically has a much less likely chance of you kind of breaking that threshold and building generational wealth than obviously what we're building now. And the chances are, if you guys are watching this video, you're probably on this side of YouTube. You probably have that sort of entrepreneurial spirit. Heck, you may be even doing this yourself already, but you obviously haven't had anything pop off. Or maybe you have had something pop off and you're already doing 10, 20, 30K a month. And if so, I hope this video is for you, because I'm honestly just going to be talking about sort of how this year's going for me so far, how much we've kind of made, my whole mindset on life, and what I really think matters most when you're actually doing this type of thing. So first things first, how is this year going so far? Now, 2025 was probably my best year we've ever had. We made millions of dollars net profit, which obviously was my first 7-figure year, which was amazing. So I made $1 million profit for the first time in one specific span of a year, which was an amazing achievement. Now, funnily enough, 2026, I've already crossed $500,000 in net, which is about to thrash my previous year. So obviously, if I go over to one of my Snapchat shows, this one's called Gym Crush. This is one of the shows we still run. If I go ahead and click on the last 3 months, you can see we took this Snapchat show over. Again, I do faceless content, whether that's YouTube automation, Snapchat shows, all different kinds of faceless content. Now, took this show over January 15th, right? We're averaging, a couple $100 a day, but Snapchat obviously takes half of this money. So it's really not as, profitable as people might make it out to seem. A lot of these gurus, they're completely full of shit. They'll drag things around. They'll say, look, I made $4 million this year. Well, obviously it wasn't actually 4 mil. They probably had like a 10% profit margin. So again, we took over this show. Now it's averaging about $5,000 a day, close after all fees to about $2,000 a day for myself. And again, I'm obviously going to go ahead and blur all of these shows. But again, this is another one of the Snapchat shows we run. Click on analytics, go ahead and filter this one by the last, let's say 2.5 months as well. And you can see we've done $186,000, still averaging a couple $1,000s a day. And I have quite a lot of these. I have about 50 Snapchat shows. In 2025, we only had about 150, but with all the other things that I've kind of been talking about and kind of working on recently, and I'm going to get a little bit more into this later and how my mindset as a whole has kind of shifted, because previously, right, yes, I was making money, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like it was really for any purpose. I sort of felt sort of lost. And I know a lot of you guys that might do entrepreneurship might even feel the same. I'm not sure, all of you guys, but I know like I've had my fair share, or I work with people, that are obviously my age and they just don't know what to do. Like they're like, yes, like I make $100,000 a month, but if I could trade this business model to work somewhere and make $20,000 a month, but feel fulfilled, have that fire inside of me, then I would do it in a heartbeat. And that makes sense. So what I want to talk about is how to make 2026 your year, how to ultimately make this your full-time job, and the mindset you sort of need to get into this sort of space. Now, in terms of YouTube as a whole, just to kind of break the ice, we've only done about $150,000 this year so far with YouTube automation. The rest comes from Snapchat and my software, which I'll obviously go ahead and talk a little bit more about later, and how that has sort of shifted my sort of reality scheme and why that is sort of where I want to put all my time now and where I see the most potential. Now, the biggest killer is what I want to talk about. This is something that I've personally struggled with for a very, very long time, and that is shiny object syndrome. Now, I've spoken about this so many different times. I kind of want to get into a little bit more detail on what it necessarily means. Now, shiny object syndrome, for example, could be me going on YouTube or going on Twitter and finding a new business venture. And by the way, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the best. I have done this thing so many times and it still happens to me to this day. But shiny object syndrome is essentially where you find a specific business model, whether that's a niche on YouTube, whether that's Snapchat shows, YouTube automation, dropshipping, whatever it might be. You get extremely motivated. You get that rush of dopamine because obviously, you're like, shit, I can do this. Like, this is something I want to do. You get hella motivated and you start working on it. And then after about a week, week or a couple days or even a couple hours, you'll wake up and you'll be like, I can't be fucked anymore. I haven't seen results. Or what actually is usually the case is you'll see a different business model that'll take your mind off of that. So let's say I wanted to start this channel here, the Amagi. I might get halfway through, might post 3 videos, but then I'm scrolling for a little bit and I see another channel or another niche, like right here, the problem with the new CS2 gloves. And then I'll immediately want to start on that specific niche, which is again, one of the biggest killers you guys can be facing. So I think ultimately one of the biggest things you have to tell yourself when getting into social media, YouTube automation, content creation, heck, entrepreneurial space as a whole, anything online related, is that it's already worked out. And I know it might sound kind of counterproductive, a little bit, naive, but when I say that, what I mean is rather than hoping to get results instantaneously or within a very, very short amount of time, why don't you simply tell yourself, look, it's already worked out in my own head. I know this business model is proven, whether that's YouTube automation. Let's say you start a brand new niche and you're doing heaps of research to figure it out. Worst comes to worst, the channel doesn't perform. You still took a shit ton of knowledge that you can then utilize again in that same business model, which really nothing changes. You're just changing from niche to niche, but the ability to hire script writers, voice actors, thumbnail designers, the actual brain processing of creating a channel and automating the whole process stays with you. It doesn't matter if the channel does well, it doesn't matter if it does shit. It honestly doesn't make a difference as long as you're continuously learning and getting kind of what I like to say, and this is one of the biggest things that I still talk about in my real life, is that I don't want to become a billionaire right now. Obviously, it's my goal in the end of life. I definitely want to be a billionaire. That's one of my massive, massive late-term goals, but imagine how boring life would be if you immediately had all the results you want straight away. There'd be no sort of grind to it. You wouldn't feel fulfilled. You would simply get there. And then what are you going to do for the rest of your life, the next 50, 60 years? You're going to basically be idle. Sure, you can find other business models. Maybe you want to do a SaaS. Maybe you want to do a final company where you actually hire employees and you, donate to charity or some bullshit like that. But yes, you might find something you want to do, but ultimately what you want now, cherish that feeling of, I want to succeed. I want to scale the channel to 20K a month. I want to have my first 6-figure month. Don't rush it. Don't feel obligated to have to get there as soon as possible. And this is something that I struggled with. I wanted to be a millionaire at 16. I never hit that. I was a millionaire at 18 and 17, but not 16. I got there at the very end of 17, approaching 18. And that was a massive milestone, but I really wanted it at 16. But again, it doesn't make a difference. You're still going to get there regardless, and enjoy the ride it takes you to get there. If you have that mindset, if you dedicate enough time to something that it becomes unreasonable that you wouldn't succeed, you will inevitably succeed at whatever task that might be. Now, purpose. This is something that I struggled with for all of last year, all of 2024, all of 2023, aside from the very, very start when I was first getting into Snapchat shows, and that was kind of my big break that made me millions of dollars. But one of the biggest things I struggled with was purpose, right? I had the money, I had the business model that was making 100 grand a month, but I wouldn't wake up with that same fire that I would wake up with at the start of my entrepreneurial journey, where I would be so excited to wake up. And that was something that I had to overcome. It turns out that it wasn't about how much money I was making. It was about how I was making the money. So fast forward to today, and I found my purpose. Now, again, you guys know I run a lot of YouTube automation channels, a lot of Snapchat shows. With YouTube, my primary sort of structure is ultra long form channels. So for example, a channel like the Amagi, right? He posts ultra long form Naruto videos. Again, like what if Minato and Kashino adopted Naruto? Now, this is obviously the type of style that I do. And I struggled with getting the videos created for a very, very long time. So I thought to myself, well, how can I build a software, something that I can offer to all of my viewers, I can kind of build for the next 10, 20 years that has longevity and is something that I would actually use? And that's when I came to the epiphany of Produce.so. Now, again, don't click off the video. This is not a sponsorship. I want to kind of get into depth on results we've had and why that's made me so much more happy and fulfilled. But again, what I sort of built was Produce.so. Now, essentially when you sign in, and by the way, guys, I have a bit of a confession to make. I have worked with developers my entire life, and I've never been able to get a project successfully finished to the end because they would always screw me over. So this was, again, another massive milestone that I was able to create something and not get fucked over by a developer. I know it sounds retarded. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that is genuinely what happened. Like, I would just always get screwed over by devs. Now, essentially what you can do with Produce is click on train your script. We essentially made it for a script generator and a video generator. The video generator being the biggest thing. But again, you would literally just steal a URL of a video that you want to copy. You paste it in and click on start training, and it would immediately kind of memorize that exact script style that you tried to copy. And you can write scripts going forward in this same style for 4, 5, 6 hour long videos. And then heading over to the video studio section, you could essentially generate these ultra long form videos. Again, I want to show you you what this has kind of built for myself. Now, if you guys watch my content, you probably know I have a mentorship program that is monetized.net. It's essentially called Project Atlas, and it was kind of a massive thing we launched, right, earlier this year, so about a month ago. Essentially, we'd give our students a pre-monetized channel, meaning they're already monetized, plus complete access to Produce, plus an entire tutorial on exactly how to work with me and how to scale an ultra long form channel. And we obviously pitch this in our school community. Now, this is where my happiness comes in. Heading over to the monetization tab, this is a brand new post that one of our students, Zidane, made. And essentially, he recently used Produce to scale an ultra long form channel. Again, we've had lots of people get monetized so far, but this is something that really stood out to me and made me feel so happy, is that here, he applied for monetization. I was like, Zidane, I know you're using Produce to make all the content. How's that monetization going? He said, anything I could do to make it faster? I haven't got approved yet. I said, it's probably the weekend. Then this is something that I have found brings me so much joy. He messaged me, hey Blake, I just got monetized, thankfully. Anything I'm supposed to do now? I said, let's fucking go, man. I'm so happy for you. Obviously gave him the rundown on what to do to actually optimize his RPM with ultra long form content. And then one day after, Finn, one of our other students, messaged me, just got monetized as well. Let's effing go. This is what brings me happiness, guys. Seeing you succeed. And that's when I kind of found my purpose. Building up softwares in specific niches that solve a direct issue and watching those issues be solved in real time. So again, this funnels back to purpose. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Never give up your morals and morality for money. Whether you want to do OFM, which if you guys don't know what that is, don't look into it, but I'm giving an example. I know so many people making $1 million a month with that specific business model, and they don't feel fulfilled whatsoever. Never give up your morals. Always make sure you're waking up with that excitement. If you're not, change business models. You will never succeed with something long-term and be happy if you don't genuinely enjoy what it is you're doing. Again, guys, this was a bit of a rant. I'm sorry. I know that this isn't the usual content you guys want to see, but if it is, comment down below. Let me know. It means a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you all later. Have a great day.